Hi guys, and welcome to this little video of mine, which basically is going to be a comparison between three IMs that I've been receiving a lot of requests to compare, namely the SIMGOT EM6L, the CELEST Phoenixcall, and the KIWIEARS Quintet. I've had a lot of people sending me messages asking me to compare the three of them, to kind of give or shed some light on the pluses and negatives of each set and help them at least make a decision. Anyway, these sets are priced respectively at $109, $129, and $209. I got the EM directly from SIMGOT. The Phoenixcall I got from HIFIGO, and the KIWIEARS, the Quintet, I got from LINSOUL. I'm going to start with the Quintet and then work my way down. The Quintet, is an IM which kind of made waves because they are in effect a quad brid, if there's such a thing as a quad brid, or if I'm even saying it correctly. And what do I mean by that? It's got a single DD, DLC diaphragm, if I'm not mistaken, 2 BAs. It's then got one microplanar and one piezo driver. So they've effectively combined 4 driver types, and they've done it in a very good manner. Overall, if we have to consider the difficulty of bringing together 4 drivers with such distinct characteristics, they've actually done a fantastic job. That's the reality. I can't really fault it in that aspect. It's technically a very capable IM. Amazing resolution, micro detailing, and all of that kind of stuff is absolutely unreal. It's got it's bass, it's fast, it's a clean bass, sub bass focused, with maybe I would say a slightly tamer mid bass than the other two. But the plus point of that is there's no bass bleed into the mids, and then all of this coupled with a nice extended upper mid range and treble that really only becomes or can become rather problematic at higher volumes when you really crank it up, or if your source is a source which by default is already a more brighter sounding source. Let's put it that way. There is some metallic zing that comes across from the piezo at times, and that zing, that metallicness, and the accompanying slight amount of sibilance that occasionally occurs, especially at higher volumes, is basically, I think, in my opinion, a response coming from the piezo and from the microplanar. But overall, I mean, and if you keep the volume, let's say, within a certain control, you don't really, it doesn't really bug you. It's got a kind of, you could say, kind of a U-shaped signature. What more can I say? Going back to that to the issue again of that metallicness, the timbre can sometimes as well be a little bit off because of that. The timbre and the tonality can be a little bit off because of that extra amount of let's say energy that you find in that upper mids and treble region. Overall as well, that can sometimes also make it sound a little thin, but on the plus side, it has got amazing transient capabilities, and like I said earlier, the coherence of the drivers is and the way they've been able to actually match all these drivers is been done in a very excellent manner. With in the mids, just to also just touch slightly in the mid range, the mids are slightly recessed, but nothing minor. But the plus point is, by being slightly recessed, they are also clean and transparent, because you don't have that extra energy of the bass clouding it up. Let's put it that way. So it's kind of a give and take here. Overall, and when I reach the end, I will kind of characterize each one of them in a manner which I think will be very easy to understand. But overall, I think the main thing here is it's 4 different driver types, and what they've been able to do with the 4 different driver types has been very well done. It's been very well achieved. It can only at higher volumes become a little bit of a problem for some people, but the reality is it's not a bad sounding IEM, and for the price of $209, I guess when you consider those factors, it's balanced, it's fair, it's a good price. I mean, you have single DDs, you have 1 plus 2s costing the same amount of money. All right. One last thing that I just wanted to mention is with regards to the upper mids and the fact that they are slightly forward, and that can also contribute to, like I was saying, that excessive energy that you have. That forwardness does at more normal volume levels bring you or give you a very engaging presentation technically wise. So it's I think the Quintet here, it's a balance of, they wanted something to be very technically capable while still having a good amount of musicality, and overall they've achieved it. All right. With regards to the CELEST, the Phoenixcall, this is a 7mm DD coupled with 2 BAs, one handling the mids, one handling the mid highs, and then 2 6mm planars handling the highs and the ultra highs. In terms of the sound, it's a V-shaped signature, unquestionably. The mid bass here is more emphasized, and you do feel there's a little bit more mid bass here than there is on the Quintet, a little bit, even though the driver sizes are completely different, 7mm, 10mm. You do feel, not in terms of overall quantity, but the quality of that mid bass, there's a little bit more mid bass quality here than there is here. You don't feel it being as thin as there is here. But I'll get to that in a little bit more detail just now. However, being mid bass focused, there's still a very good amount of sub bass extension. The mids, as I was saying, the signature, as I was saying, is a V-shaped signature. However, that hasn't sacrificed the mids in any way. Yes, okay, the lower mids are a little bit recessed, which with that recessed amount and the fact that it's got a slightly thicker mid bass slam tonally, it can make the low mids be a little bit warm and a little bit thicker sounding, but it's always very pleasantly done. It's always very nicely done. It's got comparatively to the Quintet, it's got a very correct timbre and tonality, and that was one of the things that really seduced me about the CELEST was the bass, first of all, because you're expecting a 7mm driver to sound in one particular manner. Not obviously, this is me being maybe prejudiced because we have plenty examples of smaller drivers sounding amazing, but you think, okay, $129 7mm driver, okay, let's see how the bass is. You see the graph and you think, oh, it's gonna be a bloat mess, it's gonna be muddy, no. And then when you actually hear it, it actually doesn't sound anything like it. It sounds very clean, very capable, and very engaging, very fun. The upper mids have a good amount of energy, although on occasion they can sound a little bit unnatural, and again this is down to the microplanars, and which can introduce a little bit of glare, a little bit of, but never you feel that the microplanars here in the CELEST are as pushed as they are in the Quintet. The Quintet, you get more that upper mids and highs being, especially when you crank the volume, being there in your face, while that doesn't happen over here. It's very musically no, musically is not a correct way to say, but it's been done in a way that the musicality is there while still maintaining a good amount of detail and resolution. While here the detail and resolution is very good, and yes, it is musical, but it can sometimes sound thin because of that excessive energy. Over here, that balance I think has been struck in a nicer manner. Treble is extended and pretty well matched with the BAs and what they are doing. So that driver coherence between the BAs and the microplanars I think has been very good, very well achieved as well. There's no real sensation of metallicness besides that little glare sometimes as well that you get from the microplanars, like I was saying. And so overall the sound doesn't sound fake or pushed or anything of the sort. I think that what they've been able to achieve here as well, considering its three different driver types, has been very well done. And overall, the reality is this: the Celeste is a musical IEM which still has a very high standard of resolution, of detail retrieval capability. So technically very capable, but musicality was the main idea. Keep it musical, keep it fun and engaging, which it is. It is definitely fun and engaging. And then finally the SIMGOT EM6L 1+4. It uses an 8mm driver for the bass, and it's a kind of it's a Harman tune, definitely, like the EA500 and the EW200 and the 100. So it's following that path that SIMGOT has been following, although it's slightly more V-shaped, emphasized. So it's a Harman with a V-shaped emphasis, let's put it that way. What does that mean? It means that the bass is full, it's got great rumble, probably the one out of the three that in terms of quality of that rumble is the one that has the most. So good rumble. It makes for the sound always being very lush, very warm, very much bigger than what it actually is. Obviously it also has its negative points, but male and female vocals are very well executed. Probably the male vocals are the ones which are better or come across nicer, because the female vocals can have a tendency of being slightly overpowered by that bass energy that we have. Again, we have to find here a balance between being technical or being musical, and the fact that you have a bass and a sub bass which have a big boost, which yes, does make the sound lush and does bring it a good sense of tactile feel to the lower frequencies. It at the same time also kind of will make the mids, upper mids especially, be a little bit opaque, and although technically it is capable enough, you do feel that when, for example, you compare it to the EA500, it's less technically capable, and when you compare it to these two as well, it's less technically capable than these two, without question. However, when you take into consideration its price, it's not really a deal breaker, at least in my opinion. The EM6L, if I again compare it to the EA500, I think is the IM that would suit those people that like the EA500's overall sound, but just found it a little bit too energetic in the upper mids and treble. This would be almost giving the same kind of feel, but with less energy, and thus becoming more appealing to that group of people. Timbre and tonality is again, in my opinion, pretty good. Although it's going to be thick because of that bass energy. It's overall very good. The reality is this: we have here three IMs which are excellent for what they've been able to achieve at their respective price points. Fair enough, the SIMGOT in terms of its build quality compared to the A500 or its EW200 brother is less. It's gone back in quality. It's got resin shells on a full metal shell. Okay, fine, I can understand that. But it offers a very competent sound, a very well executed sound, where above all you don't feel that typical BA timbre or BA metallicness that you usually find at this price point. So this way of tuning and making sure that the BAs sound as natural and are tonally so correct, you usually find it in more expensive IEMs. So they've been able to strike here a nice balance. So overall, as I was saying earlier, if I have to look at these three IEMs and try and give them a positioning, I would say that this is the safest, let's put it that way, in terms of being the one that will probably be the less fatiguing in its sound, although it does come at the price of not being as detailed as the others. On the opposite end of the spectrum, you have the Quintet, which is definitely the most detailed, the one that has the most capabilities technically wise, but it does come at the price of being a little bit fatiguing once you start pushing the volume. Okay, it can, you will notice the drawbacks of certain driver types, namely the piezos and the microplanar, but mainly the piezo. And the CELEST is the kind of in my opinion, the happy medium between the two. It's got really good details, maybe perhaps not on the level of the Quintet, but it's got really good details as compared to the Quintet, but it also has a good amount of warmness, of a nice lush sound that you get from the SIMGOT. So it's a kind of the perfect medium point between the two of the in the extremes. Price wise, I mean, excellent value for money, good value for money. It's not excellent, it's good value for money considering the driver types that they've used. For me personally, if I had to choose just one IEM, I would go for the CELEST. Why, you ask? Well, again, because of what I just mentioned, it's the one that sound-wise strikes the best balance. And then in terms of its, the more physical aspects of it, the build quality is excellent. It's a nice resin shell. You got the two options. Brings a decent enough cable. I'm not using the stock cable, although I used it for a long time. It brings a good accessories package. It's well built. It's a tribrid in effect. And it just offers a nice departure from perhaps the sub $100, where you will have occasional IEMs that shine, but they will always ultimately be limited, and gives you a good entry point into the higher priced IEMs. I honestly think that sound wise, it doesn't lose to the Quintet. And for me personally, it actually comes across as being overall more balanced than the Quintet. Obviously, that's just me. Others will probably think otherwise, and will probably be able to find reasons to justify the price difference over to the Quintet compared to the EM. I mean, really, the EM only outdoes the CELEST is in the lower frequencies, but again, it outdoes it because in terms of the mids, upper mids, and treble, it's not as detailed, it's not as lively as the CELEST, as the Phoenixcall is. So yes, there is a little bit more lower frequency here, but it's a lower frequency which also, I mean, this is not the fastest bass in the world, especially if you go and compare it with the EA500, you notice it immediately. But compared here with the CELEST, it can have a little bit more quantity, not quality necessarily. The bass of the CELEST, of the Phoenixcall, it's quite impressive, honestly, for a 7mm driver, especially one used at an IEM of this price point, which obviously it's not going to be a crazy top of the line driver that's over here. It is quite impressive. And there's very little that you can actually falter when we consider all those plus points. Anyway, guys, I hope this was able to kind of shed a little bit more light and help those of you that are making a decision which would be the one that's the most sensible or not sensible. And that's it. As always, like and subscribe. Any questions you might have, please feel free to ask me. All right, you take care now. Bye bye.